Das Wolf, tequila in the house. ¿Qué pasó, amigos? Estoy bien. Yo fin comiste.
That means I just finished eating, so I'm all good. How you guys doing today? Nice, Tequila, what you playing? All right, welcome back, everybody, for episode 21 of our UnKerbaled Start modded career in Kerbal Space Program. So yesterday we did a near zero to near hero beginning in Star Citizen. Hope you guys enjoyed that. For those that watched it, if you did not, it is also up on YouTube now. I'll be putting those up on YouTube to, you know, chronicleize our misadventures. But today in Kerbal, we are going for the science. We need lots and lots of science. You know what I realized? When I'm doing Kerbal, I should put this as a slideshow behind me. That's what I should do with this space. But yeah, today it is all about
the science. Get that science, baby.
And I just remembered last night from playing Star Citizen with some of the org mates. I need to make a new emote. A clinch emote. Right? So when things are starting to go sideways, you know, you can go
clinch.
But last night we finished getting MGB through his all the early Onyx missions are all done. You fell asleep? Hey, no worries. I'm not sure I would want my voice to be the last one I heard at night, though. Anyway, all right. Let's get this show on the road. Also, today is the first official day of winter, and it is winter solstice. It is the shortest day, longest night of the year. I think sunset for us here in Southern California is like 4:30-ish in the afternoon. But it means that starting tomorrow, days will start getting longer again. Alright, so last episode, we did our first moon sample return mission. We actually landed on the moon and brought back the science. Unmanned, of course, or UnKerbaled, of course. We also did our first Duna launch, right? So our Duna flyer, the probe we're gonna do our first flyby of Duna, is on its way to Duna. I don't time warp for interplanetary travel because it's a lot of wasted time. Right, and then we also put our first probe, our first science probe into solar orbit, and then brought it back to Kerbin, right, and recoup that science. So we were able to unlock advanced flight control. Unlock some of the stuff that we need here. Oh, bunch of different types of RCS thrusters. Okay. Because that's going to allow us to unlock command modules, which will include the Mark II command pod. All right, we also unlocked landing, which is going to allow us to unlock advanced landing here very, very soon. And we'd already unlocked fuel systems. Really, heat management I'm not too worried about. I'm looking for where our next set of science experiments is coming from. I do believe with space exploration that we unlocked the MSR enhanced multispectral scanner, so we'll probably be launching some new satellites. Tequila, I don't buy every piece. I generally unlock what I need when I need it. Right? Like this one, we've only unlocked the Mark I command pod. We haven't unlocked any of these others because they're not necessary at the moment. We need a crap ton more science. And once again, our science is set at 50%, so it's a little rough getting science. I'm drinking orange juice mixed with the chum pineapple. All right, you take orange juice and a can of pineapple with in juice, not in syrup. Put it in a blender, blend it together. Tasty. Okay, so now we need more science. And probably more money. We're gonna where's the lock? Actually, how far can we go? What's our science limit? I think it tells us outside, right? Research limit is 500. Oh, so we don't need to worry about that shit for a while, dude. We need to go all the way up to this tier before we need to worry about that. Alright, so we got a ways to go. Alright, let's see if we have any new ScanSat satellites. Contracts. Yep. Low resolution resource ScanSat of Kerbin, low resolution resource ScanSat of Minmus, and then again of Moon. So we'll take these three. Grab that. Grab that. Grab that.
That's more.
A streak of 40, dude. You ran out of fingers long ago? Yeah, well, did you use your toes too? And then count them twice? What's going on, Natsmore? Alright, so to make this, we're going to find... our Octosat bus Mark II. Because it'll actually have more energy. Right, more electrical juice. I'm just looking to see how I actually want to mount this. This would be the best bet, even though this satellite bus is actually built to be 90 degrees the other in orbit 90 degrees the other direction. Like, basically this end facing towards the surface. This will put it sideways, but I think that's okay. How much energy does this thing need? One a second. Okay, so we'll be producing more than enough juice. Tequila, you're gonna play alongside me? It's kind of tight in here, but I can probably make it work. Where are you gonna sit? And not in my lap is not an option. You tried to cat's toast too, but she only has 18? Ugh. You know what that means? You need 2 cats. Well, Tequila, let's face it, the dog is better looking. And doesn't smell as bad. Sorry, I could not help myself. I swear this looks like it's at an odd angle, doesn't it? It's flat, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's kind of crooked. Tequila, are you using my mod setup out of curiosity? Bring those in just a little bit. All right, and this is going to be biome scan. Biome scan 2. All right, and this first one is obviously going to be launched here for Kerbin, and then we'll launch one for Moon and one for Minmus. All right, 2 tons. We need a launch vehicle that this can fit in. It's 2.8 meters tall, 1.8 meters wide. I need to update this launch vehicle. We actually have the full-size tanks now instead of these half tanks. I think this is too much launch vehicle though. right, so once again, we're going to put this into a polar orbit, roughly a 300-kilometer polar orbit, and the satellite will circularize itself. Well, maybe. We'll see how much fuel's on the upper stage. If not, we'll have the satellite just circularize itself for orbital insertion. All right, let's send it. You're using your near stock one. What's near stock mean? Obviously, you're using some mods, but what's the theme? And there's actually a lot more mods. I'm not using any of Benji's mods. I want to use all of Benji's mods, but I'm not using any of Benji's mods because it also adds a
epic amount of parts.
But he's got some cool shit, dude. And Benji has some cool mods. Why is the rocket swaying? Why is the rocket swaying? These actually do work as decouplers, so but they appear to be broken. All right, let's do that. Oh, Restock Plus, Airplane Plus. Unmanned First. I don't know that tech tree. Is that the actual name of the tech tree mod? Is Unmanned First? I know probes before. Is it UnKerbaled Start? I'm using UnKerbaled Start. There's also probes before crew. I prefer UnKerbaled Start. There we go. Now we're looking good. Looking good, feeling good, smelling good. How is pros before crew nowadays? When the first couple of times I tried it, the mod broke the save. Not this one. This is like years ago. I gotta turn that down so I can turn that up. We want the full effect. All right, so once again, there will not be a roll program with this launch. We're literally just gonna south. Actually, there's a little bit of a roll program because we have to counteract the rotation of Kerbin. Biome scan is go. Guidance is go. Upper stage is go. Core stage is go. Boosters are go. Cameras are go. We need a go, no go from chat. And chat is go. Go for launch in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Main engine start. 2, 1, send it. Alright, 2.5 G's acceleration, throttling back to 2/3. Alright, 20 seconds to SRB cutoff and separation. Alright, 2.5 G's, throttling back to 1/2. SRB shut off, and we have good SRB separation. Alright, we have good fairing deploy. And we have main engine cutoff. We have good stage separation and upper stage ignition. Alright, stand by for Seco. There we go, 300 kilometers. There we go, perfect. Oh yeah, there's plenty of fuel in the upper stage. We'll go ahead and circularize with the upper stage. We just gotta coast here for a moment. A few moments. And those clouds. All right, stand by for insertion burn. I should have time warp, so it's completely... We're right on the Terminator. Ah, well. And circularize it. $308 over $299. As we go right over the North Pole. Or South Pole, rather. That's the South Pole. All right. We go for fairing deploy. Oh, not fairing deploy. Payload deploy. Where's the sun? Over there. So we might need to turn the satellite. Gotta maximize the sunlight. All right, let's go ahead and... Are we considered suboptimal? Because we're slightly lower than 300 kilometers. That's all right. Oh, and it only scans when the surface is in daylight. Yeah, we should have held up on this. Is going to take quite a while to scan. I mean, dude, I want to do a slight adjustment to do over. We're going to raise periapsis up just a little bit on the next half over, but let's go ahead and deal with the upper stage. As we're going to swing this around. All right, that will now deorbit itself. Dude, how good does that look?
So good.
Oops, come on, turn on. All right. We're going to time warp it here until we get up to apoapsis. Plus, we're gonna see if we actually have enough juice on board to make it through a night. Okay, so now this thing should just be happy. Yep, it'll be happy. All right, let's see what it's doing here. This is why it makes more sense to pay attention when you're launching. We could have done a much better job of ensuring that we're more in daylight. I don't actually like the rectangular one much. All right, so we'll just leave that in place, and it will continue to scan Kerbin for us. As long as it's in daylight. All right, so we need to go back to the Space Center. We're going to time warp a couple days, and then we need to launch another one, except this one's got to go to the moon. And to send it to moon, we're going to need to add an auxiliary stage. And that's what, yeah, if you're changing it from a globe to a 2D, then yes. Right, look at how many people think Greenland is the size of Africa. All right, so we're gonna time warp a couple days, just so not all the launches are seem to be happening at the same time. Alright, so that launch vehicle worked for that one, but it will not work for sending it to the moon. But I think we only need the small auxiliary stage. However, I'm going to update this. Hold on. The auxiliary stage Mark 1 is going to get an update. We're going to swap this to a spark. Give me a Spucky! Alright, save that. Alright, so now that weighs 4.2 tons. Perfect. All right. Let's get this all locked in. This is why I like pre-built families of vehicles. All right, let's send this to the moon. That's more raining like crazy up there in NorCal. Nasser, what part of NorCal are you in again? What do you mean? Most people can't find Greenland on a map. Dude, you are not wrong. You are not wrong, sir. Ah, that's right. You're way up there. All right, let's get guidance locked in here. Alright, we're gonna slightly rename this by just calling it Moon. Biome Scan 2. Alright, Moon is directly overhead. You know me, I like going Moon or direct. So we're gonna make sure the generator here is on. And then we're gonna time warp until we are in a good launch position. We have some debris to take out too. Alright, that'll work. That's good enough. Guidance is go. Moon Biome Scan 2 is go. Upper stage is go. Core stage is go. Cameras are go. We need a go, no go from chat. And chat is go. That's smart. You might as well just say you live in Southern Oregon. And in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, minute and start. 2, 1, send it. All right, we are go for pitch and roll maneuver. Your rocket was no go? Uh-oh. I was just teasing you, you know that. It's a little Southern California humor. Alright, 2.5 G's acceleration, throttling back to 2/3. This rocket is not coming over. Alright, now I'm gonna throttle back to 1/2 early because I need the rocket to come over. Translation, it's not turning. Come on, turn. Can I get away with it? Alright, stand by for Miko. And we have Miko. We have good stage separation and upper stage ignition. Alright, stand by for fairing deploy. There goes the fairing. I love watching the fairing house tumble back like that. That is so cool. Tequila, what are they doing wrong? Naps more. That it is, dude. That it is. Hey, there's Moon. Everybody say hi, Moon. Oh, Moon's being a gravity bully again? It's pretty rare Duna's a gravity bully. But yeah, Moon is definitely a gravity bully. Moon likes to put her big fat ass in the way. Tequila? Maybe one too many tequilas? Wild guess. Alright, coming up on 4 minutes into the flight, we're 165 kilometers downrange distance from the KSC, passing an altitude of 104 kilometers and coming up 1900 meters per second velocity. Yep, there's the KSC, that's where we left from. Alright, so this upper stage is going to push us all the way to Lunar Intercept. And the auxiliary stage will do the orbital capture and the primary maneuvering, as this needs to go into a polar orbit. Alright, coming up on orbital velocity, passing orbital velocity, and we're in orbit. Since this has to go into a polar satellite anyway, I should have piggybacked this as a ComSat, and I didn't do it. Messed that up. Missed opportunity right there. Alright, I'm gonna leave it with a fairly high apoapsis over Moon. Or, well, periapsis, I guess. As we need to do like a 90-degree inclination change. In fact, we might do that part way out here. We might actually start initiating it. Alright, but our upper stage has done its job. All right, go for payload deploy. Bye, payload. Huh. Why are you flipping ass over kettle like that? All right, deploying solar panels. Basking in that sun. It's like, give me sun. All right, so I'm only going to be able to do about half of the inclination change required out here. We'll have to wait to do the other half once we're actually in Moon Sphere of Influence, but this will use the least amount of energy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and warp out here. All right, we're going to find our upper stage, switch back to it, and we need to deorbit it. All right, so it's going to pass through Moon Sphere of Influence and then come back and burn up in Kerbin's atmosphere. And look, there's a an eclipse on the ground. See, there's an eclipse. All right, so the upper stage is taken care of to not be space debris. Speaking of, after this mission, we got to take care of some of the debris that we have floating around that shouldn't be debris. There's at least a couple of parts that survived an impact with Moon, which shouldn't have survived. And then there's something that's in orbit around Kerbin that should have deorbited. But it's not, because it's probably just outside of the physics 8 delete you range. All right, let's go ahead and warp to the next maneuver. All right, let's time warp up in the moon sphere of influence. I'm gonna go ahead and do our remaining inclination change now. All right, we're now in a 90-degree orbit over moon. Actually, that'll put us up too high. I need radial in. Gonna lower this down to about 350 kilometers. There we go. And then this will be our orbital capture maneuver. We need to rotate 90 degrees for sunlight here. And then let's warp into maneuver. I say, where the hell's moon? All right, and burn it. All right, 348 or 344, that'll work. Ah, deal. Sweet. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and lose the auxiliary stage. We don't need to keep it any longer. I could. It's not like half fuel, but we won't need it. All right, so let's go ahead and get this off. All right, and that will impact the moon. So now let's get the orientation set on our dear old satellite here. Actually, we are set. I just gotta rotate. All right, let's get that scan started. Realize this should actually be facing towards Kerbin, but oh well. Where's Mr. Sun? Over there, so. All right, maximum sunlight. And this will now scan and do a more detailed biome analysis of Moon. All right, back to the Space Center. We gotta do one more of those to send it to Minmus. And by the time the Minmus one is in orbit, the Kerbin one should be nearly done. Alright, let's time warp an extra day. Alright, let's see where we're at. Yep, it's already 45% done. How's our Mooner doing? Barely getting started. 5%. A mosquito flying around. All right, one more. This time for Minmus. Ah, these little mosquitoes, dude. All right, give me 1 second. I gotta hunt that little bastard down, and I gotta get out of the sweater. So, and I'm gonna go punch the bladder reset button, too. So, hold that thought. I'll be right back. I'm back. Okay. Oh, I forgot. We gotta do a debris cleanup, man. Because we have debris that we should not have debris. Tequila, what do you, the one with 2 Merlin engines, what are you referring to? We've gone to great lengths to make sure we don't have debris, right? Or space junk. Yeah, this is part of our probe that should not have survived. It was like a super impact into the moon. So we're going to go ahead and terminate it. The other piece is this one. Yeah, this one, it's got a 41 kilometer apoapsis and a 26 kilometer periapsis. It should also not exist. All right, there we go. Man, we got a lot of shit in orbit. Look at all this. Well, there's also landers in there, but man, there's a lot of, we have 15 probes in orbit. And 5 relays. Only one of these is toggled as a lander. Well, some of these are landers, I realize. That are probably just mislabeled. Ah, the mosquitoes, yeah. Dude, I do not, man, we've had so many mosquitoes this year, dude. It's ridiculous. And they seem to be immune to whether it's cold, hot, dry, wet. Yeah, that's because they're beyond physics. They're outside of physics. But that's why I just delete them, because they shouldn't exist. That's more, there's a gun range that's a quarter mile that way. It's a shotgun range, and they have a giant frog pond. And unfortunately, it's on county land because it's right at the end of the city limits. It's on county land. And I know that the city, right, so there's a park. That's the park I take Delta to all the time. That's right above. It sits like right above. It's up against the gun range, but it sits higher. There's an elevation, a pretty steep elevation change. Because technically the gun range is in the Santa Ana River Valley. Anyway, the city puts mosquito traps all along the fence line. Like every 50 feet, there's a big ass mosquito trap. And because of the goddamn frog pond. Joker, that's the issue. It's too dry. Like dragon, like the typical predators of mosquitoes can't survive here because it's too hot and too dry. And the mosquitoes are not native, right? Southern California doesn't have any native mosquito species. It's an invasive species that was brought aboard. I guess a bunch of larvae was included in a fruit shipment from South America. So, yay. And LA, I know LA County has done it. They've introduced a breed of the same mosquito and released a whole bunch of sterile male, like millions of sterile males, right? Hoping to, you know, help eliminate it or control the spread, but it's not working because only LA County is doing it. I live in San Bernardino County. The other counties aren't doing it, right? So it's not enough of an impact to reduce them. And don't even get me started on a goddamn gun range. Let's put it this way. Everybody there has a lifted you know, Ford F-250 style vehicle with flying a Trump flag. That's all you need to know. Yup. So it's like the city has made requests for them to deal with the frog pond. Right, in the mosquitoes that it's generating. And their response is basically... Ba-doomp. Yeah. Anyway. We have one more vessel to launch to Minmus. Hey, Trix, what's going on, buddy? Tricks, they are the swamp. They just bring it with them wherever they go. I think that's their goal, is to turn everything into the swamp. Alright, so we're not going to make the same mistake that we did for that moon satellite. We're going to use this, we're going to piggyback this as a comsat. So I need Octocomsat Mark II. Do I have better comms yet? No, not really. Only not really, absolutely not. Alright, I'm gonna need to make some adjustments to the satellite though. Anybody know what happens if you put more than one of these on a satellite? I actually don't know the answer to that. FX editor, what is up, dude? Yeah, man, it has been a long time.
Long time.
What have you been up to, buddy? What's the width? Field of view is only 1.5 degrees. Okay. I'm wondering if I do it that way. If they're both scanning at once. Right, they're slightly offset. If I can scan twice as fast. I guess we'll find out, right? Been on the unemployment line? Dude, that sucks, man. I know that feeling. Yeah, no, that's more. Well, we have 1600 EC. We're generating how much these? I think these generate 3 apiece. These use 1 apiece. Uh, 1.6. More power. More power. And dude, and FX out, dude, it's a fucking shitty fucking feeling, dude. Like, bar none, man. And I don't know about you, but most of my friends at the time all of a sudden started treating me like a goddamn leper. Like, the only thing I was gonna do is ask them to borrow money, which I never ever did. It just, yeah. I found out real fast who my friends were and who weren't. Alright, just making sure that these won't overlap. Hey, Brandon, what's going on, buddy? That's what y'all, dude. Yeah, I know. You know, it all comes down to, you know, it's like, oh, if we give big corporations and businesses tax breaks, and the wealthy people that run them tax breaks, they'll hire more people.
Bullshit.
It does not work that way. Never has. Hasn't worked that way since the Romans, or even I think it actually goes back to the Greeks, right? Trickle down economics or supply side economics is not a thing. It never has worked. Not in human history has it worked. When I got laid off from HP, the stock price was at its highest point ever. It was at a record high. The only way to get the stock price to go higher for the CEO to get their multi-million-dollar bonus was to get the stock price to go even higher. What do you do that when the market is that you're servicing is saturated, and you need it to be done, like you need your stock price to go up immediately? You announce a layoff. Right? If you're a publicly traded company, announcing a layoff and actually doing it is an instantaneous stock price bump. Brandon, double check that what you're using are actually relays. Right, not all antenna are relays. Like, for example, these are relays, but this one is not. This is a direct only. I don't know if I have that one unlocked. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, it is a relay. But its range is really short. Just FYI, its range is pretty short, unless you have upgraded the tracking station. What tier is your tracking station at? And they should be talking to each other. Double check that you have it the mode, the correct mode, the signal mode. Make sure it's like you're showing all connections and not only partial connections. All right, Min Biome Scan Com 2. Big name. All right, we're gonna need our auxiliary stage. Yeah, that'll be enough. Now, the only reason being is the status of the connections. It won't look like they're talking to each other when they are if you don't have it in the right, or showing the right filter, basically. All right, we need this on a max. All right, let me double check, make sure it did not screw up my staging, and it did. Not too badly, though. All right. All right, save it and send it. And Brandon, you know what I mean by the filter, right? The connections filter. Right, is this one, the ComNet network. Okay, so right up here, this ComNet network, you'll see that right here, now it shows that we have no connections, even though we are connected, because we can see our signal strength. Right, in here, you can't see it because we're not in space, but I did the one connection, the first hop. All right, second hop. All right, third hop, you can see we're talking to the communication satellite that we have directly over the KSC. And then we're also talking to one that is out at Minmus for whatever reason. Right, we do have a ComSat that's already out there. We're not talking to Moon because Moon is not in our line of sight. And then if I turn it on, now I can see all the links. So now I can see the entire network. Right, and now I can see that everything is talking to multiple things, right? And, you know, and passing it all around. What's up, Hildebrandt? How we doing, man? Right, and then if you fly one of your other ComSats, you look at its signal strength and see what it says. All right, Moon is over there. Minmus is over there. I would prefer going Minmus direct, but if I time warp until we come back around towards where Minmus is, that also means that frickin' Moon is going to be moving around too, and Moon is a fat ass gravity bully. So we're going to go ahead and launch now. What the shit? What the shit? Why is our launch vehicle swinging in the wind? What's going on today, Hildebrand? How you doing, man? All right. Why are we swinging in the wind? Why isn't that on any of these? It should be. And make sure you have enough power. That's the thing about it. Make sure you have enough electrical charge, because they do take electrical charge. That's why a lot of people always ask me why I have so many batteries on my satellites. That's the reason. Make sure the satellite can stay powered through its night phase. It's still swinging in the breeze. Why are we swinging in the breeze? Something keeps breaking on vehicle load in. It may not, yeah, Brandon, it may not have the range. Okay, what is breaking here? Generally speaking, in a career mode, you'll end up doing at least 2 or 3 generations of communication satellites as you unlock better and long-ranged ComNet, antennas. Trying to figure out why our penis is just flopping in the breeze. Why are you flopping in the breeze? Brandon, yes, you need to upgrade mission control to level 2, and the tracking station needs to be upgraded to level 2. All right, come on. Stop swinging in the breeze. Yeah, and Brandon, you're not using my 50% science setting, are you? Brandon, that's where you're going to get all your contracts. That's where you make all your money. Double check, because it's going to be a very steep climb if you're set at 50% science. Unka, what's up, my friend? And if this is your first run going with career, don't use a 50% science setting. In your base settings, under your difficulty options, right, just under basic, go to science rewards. Make sure this is not where mine is. The default is 100%. Okay, good. Yeah, because 50%, dude.
It's rough.
There we go. We're no longer flopping in the breeze. Okay. All right, Mim Biome Scan Com 2. That's a mouthful of a satellite. Payload is go. Upper stage is go. Core stage is go. Cameras are go. Guidance is go. We need a go, no go from chat. And I keep forgetting to move those emotes into the follower zone. And chat is go. We are go for launch. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, manage to start. 2, 1, send it. All right, we're going for a pitch and roll maneuver. We're gonna put ourselves in a 150-kilometer parking orbit. Vehicle supersonic. Alright, Mach 2.5 or 2.5 G's acceleration rather. Throttling back to 2/3. Alright, do that, otherwise we'll be accelerating too fast in the atmosphere. Alright, throttling back to 50%. Alright, coming up at main engine cutoff. And there's Miko. Alright, we have good stage separation. And upper stage ignition. And those clouds look glorious. All right, 2 minutes, 50 seconds into flight. We're 120 kilometers downrange distance from the KSC, passing an altitude of 57 kilometers, and we are coming up on 1,800 meters per second velocity. All right, coming up on fairing deploy. And we have good fairing deploy. I love that shot. Looks so good. Natsmore, yeah, that's true. It is kind of like that, isn't it? All right, coming up on orbital velocity, passing orbital velocity, and we are in space. And Seco 1. All right, 4 minutes, 17 seconds into flight. We're 265 kilometers downrange distance from the KSC, passing an altitude of 77 kilometers. And we are in close phase up to our apoapsis. Is it close enough? Actually, I don't want to do the inclination change. Because if I don't do the inclination change, we'll end up above. Minmus, if I do the inclination change out here, and we'll drop right into a polar orbit. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And it means at apoapsis, I can just start burning. Or near apoapsis. Alright, so let's go ahead and coast. All right, stand by for transfer burn. In 3, 2, 1, send it. All right, we have a circularized orbit, and we are pushing out to Minmus. Push, 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 push. Pushing up out of that gravity well. Moon's fat ass still almost gotten away. See it? All right, right about there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and separate the upper stage from the payload. All right, and we have good payload deploy. All right, payload is going active. Come on. Thank you. All right, so we're going to make a maneuver node here. Oh, wrong way. Go the other way. I guess it doesn't really matter. Already have a few degrees going in that direction, so. Wrong way, dumbass. I think it's because our maneuver, we launched it right at the descending node. We're gonna have to wait until we're in Mimus' sphere of influence. That's alright. Oh, we still need our intercept, don't we? Well, shit. Easier to get an intercept with Moon from here than it is Minmus. Moon is such a gravity bully, dude. Leaf, what's going on, man? Leaf, we're putting up a new scansat / comsat over Minmus. All right, I'm gonna do something here real quick. Goddamn moon, dude. Moon is pissing me off here. Fucking goddamn mosquitoes. I'm trying to do this and the mosquitoes keep flying in my face. Why are we not getting a closest approach? We're only getting one side of it. How do we end up being behind? How are we gonna end up being behind them? How do you end up behind Minmus? Damn mosquitoes. One moment. So annoying. All right. How the hell did I mess up that burn sub? We burned way too late. Fucking mosquitoes. We got extra Delta V because I screwed the pooch on our transfer. Don't know how I managed it, but I did. All right, so we're gonna have to fix it. By doing this correction. But it's almost going to put us directly below Minmus, which is ideal for dropping us into a polar orbit. That'll work. Somehow, I ended up doing a transfer way too late. Minmus is going to be much further ahead in its orbit, so we're going to have to correct for it, which is going to be pretty expensive Delta V-wise. We're going to use almost half of our auxiliary stage. Hey, regardless how many hours you have in Kerbal, you can still make small mistakes for whatever reason, being distracted by something. All right, let's do it. Warp to maneuver. I have to make a small adjustment here. To our trajectory. Well, our payload facing. All right, stand by for burn. True enough. How's it going, Scientic? How you doing today? Dude, Scientic, don't remind me. Doing I did in corporate finance, this was the worst time of year. And it was like, guaranteed you're the only asshole working on Christmas Eve. Dude, I did corporate finance for almost 9 years, buddy. Receivables manager, credit risk assessment to mergers and acquisitions. I've done more journal entry than I can count. I'm the one that always got to do the assessment for our line of credit. Oh, definitely. And I was always the one that was called in when no one else could figure out the issue, right? Or could find either they could find the problem but couldn't figure out a solution, or they couldn't find the problem. Either one. And not just in accounting, for everything. I was like the company go-to guy. And it wasn't that small of a company. There was over 1,000 people that worked there. But I was always the one that got the phone call or the email saying, hey, we can't figure this out. But yeah, especially at year end, trying to figure out how to do minimize year end taxes, you know, and maximize, you know, shareholder payout, even though they're private shareholders. Oh yeah, been there, done that. All right, this will work for transit. We just got to keep the satellite alive through transit. All right, everybody say bye, Kerbin. Well, that's Jewel. I thought it was Minmus. There's Minmus. Oh, yep, there's Minmus. Well, as long as it's pointing in the right direction. Obviously, we didn't have Chat GPT when I was going through it all. And what I always loved is when the CEO is saying, yes, we're going to go do business with that company. And I'm like screaming, they're in bankruptcy. What are you doing? You know, giving them such a massive line of credit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing business with a company that's operating under bankruptcy protection. However, make sure you get paid up front because you're not on the list of debtors. Which means if the company does have to liquidate, you're not getting... You're going to be the one standing there when the music stops playing without a chair. All All right, so you want to, get set up to get paid in advance. Boy. Looks like we should already be in Mimis' sphere of influence, doesn't it? And we're not. All right, we're still not there yet. All right, now we're in Mimis' sphere of influence. And we are way out here. And we have a lot of velocity. About double what we would normally have out here. This far from Kerbin. Yeah, I was ChatGPT. That's a good way to put it. I don't need that anymore. All right, so I piggybacked this to put us into a 90-degree inclination. And our periapsis is at the correct height. Now we just need to swing around and reduce our apoapsis, and we'll be good to go. Let's warp to next maneuver. Why was my time warp canceled? It doesn't look canceled to me. Why is this slowing down? All right, we have 2 days before we do it. What is this one for? Jump the vessel. What is this alarm for? Ah, this thing. We have no signal, so there's nothing I can do with this thing. It is too far away and... just too far away to have any signal. All right, warp the next maneuver. .351 or 344 with a 90-degree inclination. That'll work. All right. There's very little fuel left in the auxiliary stage, so we're going to go ahead and release it. I gotta get it off track so we don't collide with the payload. And that's it. That will impact Minmus now. I think it's a little bit closer back to an exactly 90-degree inclination. All right, now where is the sun? Turn sideways. Oh wait. All right, let's see how this is going to work. All right, so these are going to do a much more detailed biome scan and a resource scan of Minmus. All right, conduct a low-resolution resource scan of Kerbin is complete. And put a probe in an orbit around Minmus. We also got bonus for that. Sweet. This also doubles as a relay satellite. Where's our other one? And of course, they're nearly the exact same orbit. Oh, no, it's not. It's over there. Okay. ScanCom 1 is much closer. I was looking at the probe that's going to impact. All right. Back to Space Center. And let's see if we can't transmit science back. From the Kerbin scan, at least. Let's see how much it actually has scanned. You need 75% to complete the contract. But you need over 95% to get most of the science. Let's see where that's at. %36 done with Moon. Oh, it's 100%. It's completely done. So that is some science that we can go transmit now back. And see where that leaves us. Off the biome scan too. So, anybody that's playing Kerbal, if you're playing career, where are you at in your career? And I want to see some updates and screenshots in Discord, man. You guys are stingy with what you're working on. Don't be so stingy. What do you mean, no science? What do you mean, none? What do you mean, no science? That's some...
Oh.
There's no science to be had from these. It's just a low resolution resource scan because we've already done the biome scan. That's why. Brandon, you'll do better? All right, you better. Make sure you do. Is everybody else ready for the days to start getting longer after today? Because damn, dude, the days are so short. Like, I feel like I'm just getting into a groove, you know, with the stream around that time frame that I got to end because I have to take Delta to the park before it gets dark. All right, now. Not enough science. We need more science. All right, where are we at with this other option here? All right, we got that. We got the inflatable airbags that I wanted. All right, we got those. Alright, I don't need those. I was looking for that. It was way back there. Okay. We have a contract to put 2 Kerbals in orbit in the same vessel. And I think we have all the parts we need now to finish building what I was thinking of doing here. Or planning on doing. Think.
I think I thought I thumped.
Warhammer, what's got it, buddy? Just not gonna attach a Kerbal to the outside of a rocket with a jump seat. NatSmart split streams never bring back the audience. Even though I do try to do some evening streams every now and then. Right, because I know there are people that can't tune in when I'm, you know, during the hours I normally stream. All right. Am I making a snowman? Sure. R2 snow, D2 man. Warhammer. No, it's also just in case it comes down on land. That's not the one I'm let. It is. Alright, I need to test that this is gonna work the way that I'm thinking. Thus far. This won't have enough thrust to lift all of this. If you're wondering what I'm building, I'll show you it momentarily if you haven't figured it out already. Alright, this is a simulation. There are no Kerbals on board. Build orbital data centers and generate funds. What's up, MGB? KCS? That's not confusing at all. Why don't you just make it KSC? Alright, early abort test. Simulation in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Abort, abort, abort. Well, it kind of sort of worked. We need more parachutes. These are only exist to help stabilize for the test. We have a holiday thing tonight, but I'll have more time tomorrow. Ah, no worries, MGB. I might have to go hunt for another set of Palatino armor because the word's out now how to get it. Other than apparently the backpack, for whatever reason, does not spawn at 4.5. Alright, simulated abort test number 2 in 3, 2, 1. Abort, abort, abort. Why did that not come out? Hold on. Brandon, there is no Kerbal in that one. Aha, that's why. Okay. These are only there to help facilitate the test. This will make more sense once I show you what we're doing if you haven't figured it out. The Palatino. Yeah, but yeah, MJ, the only problem is that apparently with 3.5, the backpack doesn't spawn. And even though it's in a contested zone only, the boxes spawn in a predictable location, like in an exact location. Before it was random. It was much harder to get, I think, before than now. All right, abort test. Simulation number, what is this, 3? And in 3, 2, 1, abort, abort, abort. We flip over too much. And we don't go fast enough for the fins to actually do anything. All right, back to the vertical test pad. Let's try this one more time. The goal was not a nice explosion, but you're going to get some anyway. Yep, not a 0-0 system yet. Okay. I see what you're getting at there, MGB. All right, here we go. In abort test number, simulated test number 4. In 3, 2, 1, abort, abort, abort. Well, the parachute works, just only for the parachute. The problem is those parts have so much drag on them. This is more about getting the staging correct. Not necessarily how much power it's going to take to lift this thing off, because it's going to be a lot. Right, because of the mass. Alright, save that. And if you want to know what I'm doing... I am doing a Kerbalized version of this. Let me know what that is. Well, hello. Well, come here. You gotta say hi. You gotta say hi. Come here. Come here. Come on up. Give me hugs. Give me hugs. Oh, yeah. Give me hugs. Hug it out. Hugs. Come on. Hugs. Hug it out. Hug it out. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you so happy? Why are you so happy? Why are you so happy? Oh, she's telling me it's almost time to go to the park because the sun's gonna go down shortly, before too long. Well, come here. What? Don't look at me like that. She's staring at me through the little gap between underneath the monitor and desk. Come here, come. Delta, come. What you doing? What are you doing? Well, come here then. You want to go lay down? All right, lay down inside. What are you doing? Okay. Yeah, she's letting me know that I got about 15 minutes left. All right. But yes. Working on a somewhat of a Kerbalized version. But I need to make some changes already. I've made one of these before a long time ago. I have no idea what happened to the craft file. Yeah, it might be better to actually not get rid of this and just hold on to it. there a disable staging on this? Yep, right there. Blink. Get rid of that. Means these also need to move. Just need to do a slight adjustment on that. Liliana Sky Mage. Yeah, mods are in Discord. In the KSP mods channel. Yeah, and my bot has been a pain in the butt the last couple of days. They're listed in... Alright, so... This is KSP version 1.12.5. I'm using the latest version of the mods that I am using, but some of them date all the way back to 1.4. Right? Meaning the mod has not had official update since 1.4, yet they still work. But there's a text file in the mods that lists out everything and where to find them. Most of them can be installed via CCAN. Some of them cannot. Some of them have to be installed manually. And you may have to make do what I refer to, or a lot of people refer to as a force install in CCAN. Basically, to do is tell CCAN to, hey, I need to go back. Don't just show me mods for 1.12.5, but show me mods going all the way to KSP 1.4. However, you got to be. It doesn't mean that all mods from then will work. They won't. And you'll have duplicate mods, because, like, for example, if somebody made mod alpha, right, and then they pass it on to somebody else that adopted it and they made it mod alpha continued, they're both going to be listed. But however, you only need to use one, but you're going to want to use the latest one. So it's a lot of trial and error. However, if you just want the mod list to install it yourself, go for it. It's all listed right there. And if you'll make it even easier, subscribers to the channel have access to the Twitch subscribers chat in Discord, and my game data folder is in there to be able to be downloaded. Right, all you gotta do is take your Kerbal install, dump your delete the game data folder, download mine, swap it in, all good. But there's way too many mods for me to list out just verbally. It's basically mods equals...
Yes.
Unless you just want a screenshot of the game data folder, which won't help you all that much. Alright, so there's the game data folder. And this is actually pretty tame. I tried to limit the amount of mods I used in this, because normally it's a shit ton more than this. But if there's something specific that you're interested in, let me know and I can point you in the right direction. But if you want to know what you're getting, it's basically, it'll make your game look like this. These are screenshots of the launch that we just did. Well, and what we did yesterday, or the other day. With the graphics mods or without graphics mods? Alright, so UnKerbaled Start requires a different career mode. Right, I'm using the Career Evolution. It's a mod called Career Evolution, and it goes back to 1.4. Right, if you're gonna... UnKerbaled Start is just a modified tech tree. Right, you'll need the community tech tree. It's a dependency. If you find UnKerbaled Start, it'll tell you what its dependencies are. Right, one of them is the community tech tree, and it modifies that. All right, that being said, you need something else to be able to give you missions to not be sending Kerbals everywhere first. Right, and I chose to use Career Evolution. I think there's a couple of other paths that you can use. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. I just like Career Evolution. But first, grab CCAN. CCAN is a must. It'll save you a lot of time. Why is my bot not working? Yeah, my bot is... I turned it off, turned it back on again, and it's still not working. Okay, so you're gonna want to grab this. Alright, download that. That is your mod manager. Download that, toss it into your KSP folder. Not in the game data folder, in the KSP folder, where the KSP executable is. Right, so you're just gonna drop it in right in the main folder. Run it. It's gonna ask you a bunch of questions. Just say yes. All right, once you're in, go to settings, go to compatible game versions, and then you can check the box for the ones that you want, and you can skip others. All right, the safe spot, quote unquote safe spot, is most mods dating back to 1.8 will still work. Right, 1.8 was the last time that the Unity engine was updated for Kerbal. Right, the version of Unity that Kerbal uses. That last update was 1.8. Anything beyond this point, you're going to want to test before using. All right, but you can just check for compatible KSP versions and then hit yes, and it'll update this, and then you can find it more of what you're looking for in there. Right, so for example, UnKerbaled start right here. It'll have all of its download stuff requirements, and if you want more information on it, and it has links for different career paths. CCAN, all it does no testing for you. CCAN does not do that. CCAN is a mod manager, right? When you say install UnKerbaled start, it's going to grab the dependencies of UnKerbaled start and install them for you. Right? It is a mod manager. It does no testing. The testing has to be done by you, by each mod individually. It's a pain in the ass. Essentially what you do is you copy your KSP directory into a new folder and test the mod that you want to use in that one so it doesn't upset the one that you're building. All right, so are you familiar with modding Kerbal at all? Like, have you ever used mods with KSP before? I'm asking just so I know where to start, because I might be skipping over things. Okay. So to start, what I would start with is first copy your KSP directory. Booyah, yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Well, actually, let me start. I need to go back even one step further than that. All right. So is the install of KSP that you have right now a clean install? Meaning it's not one that's been installed for years and you just updated it until Kerbal stopped updating. Right, is it a fresh, clean install? All right, I'm gonna save this here because I'm gonna have to wrap this up anyway. But I can give a very quick primer on modding Kerbal. That's not what I asked, but what I'm asking is, do you have a clean install of KSP? Meaning the last time you installed it, was it 1.12.5 or was it like 1.10 and you just updated? That's not a clean install. That's what I'm asking. Like a clean install is basically an install as though you've never run Kerbal before on your PC. And the clean install is important if you're going to do mods. The reason being is there's can be a lot of unintended errors, and that will take forever to try to troubleshoot as you start adding mods to KSP. And starting with a clean install eliminates a lot of potential errors. All right, if you're going to do a fresh download, but keep the ones that you have, CCAN has been around almost as long as Kerbal. And Lilian, is the original download you did actually from the game store itself or from Steam? Like where will you be downloading it from? Because it's going to change how the next steps. You always get the latest version of CCAN, and it will recognize however old your Kerbal install is. All right. I don't necessarily remember. Do they have a verify game files option? Off of the game store? So for like example, like on Steam... Right. You can do, there's an option here to do verify integrity of game files. This is something with Steam that I use, but not immediately. And I'll explain here in a second. I just don't know if this is even an option off of the KSP store. No verify. Oh, that's going to be problematic. All right, the reason this is important is as KSP, over time, KSP got new textures, right? New default vanilla textures that replaced older vanilla textures. However, they use the exact same name and they're in the exact same file space. And they did that in case somebody had a long running save and they still had craft in flight that had those older texture models, right? So it wouldn't break them, right? So it wouldn't break anybody's save. So typically with a Steam install, what I would tell somebody to do is not only uninstall Steam, right click uninstall, but because your KSP directory is still going to be there, you would need to go back, delete the KSP directory because it could still have mods or other items in there that you don't want for this. And then reinstall the game, launch the game once to main menu, do all your settings for resolution, sound, however you want all that stuff set up, right? Save it. And then go back into the game directory, go into the game data folder, and delete the squad directory. Right? Even without mods, you're going to come in here and there's going to be a folder called squad. Right? And you would delete this. And then you would use the verify integrity of game files to replace what's actually needed. It removes all of those older textures that aren't needed, right? You only get those if you do a clean download or a fresh download. If you do delete it and then do a verify integrity of game files, all you get are the latest textures. You don't get the old ones. And the reason that's important is a lot of mods, even if you don't want to use textures or parts or whatever it is, they use a lot of vanilla textures. Like for example, restock or replaces vanilla textures. Problem is it won't know which ones to do if the textures exist. So that's an important step. I don't know how you would do that downloading it from the game store. I need to do a full-fledged video of how to mod Kerbal, don't I? There's a lot of little stuff that I've learned over the years to do that saves you an epic amount of troubleshooting later. And I know this because I've created hundreds of installs over the years, modded installs of Kerbal, and have learned, you know, through the school of hard knocks. And also talking to mod authors, right? Talking to a lot of different mod authors, right? And kind of came up with a way to do it that eliminates the possibility of a lot of errors from even occurring. And a big one is doing a clean install. But yeah, the problem is, though, if you do that, you're going to still get the old textures. I know on Steam, you won't get the old textures. Right, that's the whole reason for deleting that file, that folder. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just you want to get rid of the old textures. So by deleting it and then using Steam to verify integrity of game files, you only get the later textures. You don't get the old ones. But if you're just copying from the zip file, it's just going to replace what you already had. But if you're not doing any part mods, then you don't really have to worry about that step specifically. However, you still want to start with a clean install. Right, that way you're starting with all the latest updated system info, because anytime you launch a new app, program, whatever you want to call them, game in your computer, the first thing it does is analyze your machine, right? And it creates a file, right? An any file or config file, whatever it is, right? That tells the game how best to work with your machine specifically. Booyah, no, I'm saying there are textures. There's old ass textures, like old ass textures. Do I even have any screenshots of those anymore? I was already replacing them, I think, by this point. Yep. Like, for example, the orange tanks have a much newer texture. I don't remember what version of Kerbal they were replaced. Several of the engines also had updated textures and were replaced. Heck, the 3.75 meter tanks had their textures replaced. I don't think I have enough. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back to Imgur. Jeez. I think I have some old ones in here. Maybe. Let me see here. Yep, all right. Best I got. All right, so you can see the skipper engine had these old garbage textures. Right, the 2.5 meter tanks had these old textures. These are the old ass textures that I'm talking about. Right, and it's not just these parts. There were several parts that had these textures from way back in the day. They still exist in the game. And if you use a mod that is telling it that is either using stock textures or replacing stock textures, it gets confused. It doesn't know which ones to replace because they're the exact same name in the exact same file folder. The C can include experimental builds of what? Of mods? Only if the mod author has put it up there as an experimental state. If you're talking about experimental builds of Kerbal, every build of Kerbal is there. Booyah, nothing as long as it's not, she's not using a mod that uses those older textures. Or replaces textures or uses stock textures, I guess I should say. If it's replacing stock textures or using stock textures, she'll be, as long as they don't do that, then she'll be fine. Does that make sense? Liliana, if it was an official release, even if it was experimental, it'll be there in CCAN. But I mean, if you're just, I honestly though, if you're gonna mod KSP, because most mods have been updated, dude, just go with 1.12.5. If you're using any other version of Kerbal of KSP, odds are it's gonna be less than a desirable experience. Right? Are you trying to use an older version of KSP? And that's where, yeah, I know I gotta go here soon. But I don't want to leave in the middle of answering questions. Yeah, but if you're running an older version of KSP, you're going to have to experiment on your own to find out on that one. If you use an older build of KSP, then you make sure you use CCAN to line up the same version of mods. Do not install a mod for 1.12.5 and 1.8.1, for example. Does that make sense? Whatever the game version is, you can go backwards in time with a lot of mods. You cannot go forward in time. Right, so if you're using, for example, 1.10.2 of Kerbal, do not install any mods that were released after or updated after that point. Find an older version of it. And yes, CCAN will show you the older version. Yeah, exactly. But the older version of mods are there. But just so you're aware, not all mods are through CCAN. That's up to the mod authors, individual mod authors themselves. Yeah, I can't stress that enough. You're better off using 1.12.5. I'm not sure, I mean, why you would want to use an older version. But anyways, I really do gotta go. I gotta get Delta to Park before the sun goes down. No, that's not. No, CCAN will always install the right version unless you tell it not to. Right? Remember the folder, the screen that I showed you where it says compatible KSP versions? That's for you to select, not CCAN. You're the one that is telling CCAN what versions of mods you want to see and be able to install. It will not stop you from trying to install a 1.12.5 mod in 1.8. It's not going to stop you if you tell it to do that. Does that make sense? Yeah, CCAN is just a tool, right? It's not going to stop you from smashing your thumb. Right? I mean, if you're aiming at your thumb and you take a good whack at it, it's not going to stop you. But yeah, Liliana, other people can answer your questions in the KSP help desk in my Discord. Everybody's happy to help, because I gotta take my dog to the park before she blows a gasket. Right? So there's Discord access. There's a KSP help channel. When I get back, I can answer questions if anybody else has them left standing. But I do need to take the dog to the park before it gets dark. Right, and I'll be streaming tomorrow, even though I won't be streaming Kerbal tomorrow. Tomorrow we're back to Star Citizen, but I will answer Kerbal questions. All right, but with that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Rocketeers all, thank you so much for coming and hanging out today. If you have not hit that follow button for me, please do so now. Liliana, thank you for hitting that follow button. I appreciate it. I don't know that everybody likes using Discord, but Discord is a very easy way to be able to answer questions and interact with the community outside of the stream. Right? It also allows more people in the community to also communicate, because somebody else might have a better answer to a question than I have. They just may not be here at the moment. Right, and speaking of, if anybody needs all the other social stuff, there you go. And if anybody wants to see this from the very beginning, there you go. These are all being uploaded to YouTube every night after we do them. If you go back in the VODs, not on YouTube, but in the VODs on Discord, I mean, the VODs on Twitch, rather, you can find where I built this install. Right? I did it on stream. I just didn't upload it to YouTube. But the VODs should still be there if you go back in time and look. Right? There'll be the several days to a couple of weeks before episode 1. All right, but once again, thank you everybody for coming and hanging out today. Much appreciated. All right, once again, tomorrow we're going to continue our Near Zero to Near Hero playthrough in Star Citizen. And then Tuesday we'll be back to more Kerbal. As I said, I'm going to try to stream every single day between now and the first of the year. So lots of me to look forward to. All right, but you guys have a great morning, great night, great afternoon, great whatever it is you may be. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy winter. Today is winter solstice. And I will see you guys next time. Until then,
stay dangerous.